Good morning. This is Eric from Sensory Dad, and I wanted to go over some of the things that we've been using for Leo as far as products. Some have had a short shelf life of viability. They haven't worked, for a long time. Some of them worked immediately, and we continue to use. So I just wanted to go over the first thing. We do a lot of exercises to challenge his sensory needs, and from what the neurologist told us, there's some issues with right brain, left brain synapses. So whenever you do a cross body workout to where your arms have to cross the center plane, it starts to incorporate, and get that brain firing to get a little better coordination. It's worked for us so far. Leo couldn't catch a ball for the longest time and couldn't hit a ball or couldn't even, stay on his own feet sometimes. So what we did was we put this rock wall in our basement, and we varied the grips. You can see that you just use plywood. We ordered the grips off of Amazon, and certainly just put a bunch of the anchors in, and we move that from time to time. That's something we do just about every day with him. Build a little landing so you can go all the way across, and obviously this is probably the best this room has looked in a long time as far as cleanliness. Some of the other things we do with him are toe touches, just simple toe touches to where you're going right hand to left foot, and then anything to cross the body, we do jabs. So I'll hold the pads up, and we'll use boxing gloves, and I'll have him throw a right cross and a left cross to get across that center plane. Another thing that we've been successful with is something called a sensory sock. You can see that this is a stretchy material. He puts his whole body in this thing, and we actually were able to incorporate this into a school day. So we had one sent down to them. Another thing we did was a sensory swing. So I anchored this into our little landing here we have in the playroom, and that's been successful so far for him. He'll come down and swing on that and roll around a little bit, probably a couple times a week, especially when we're doing the wall climbs and everything and the exercise regimen. Spandex shirts. Walmart has them at a reasonable cost, and you can also pick up name brand stuff at like a Goodwill store just to give it a shot because you don't know if this stuff is really going to work. Another thing we use, headband. You can see this in the picture on the Sensory Dad YouTube page. This is something that when we were at the Dolphins, when we're on vacation and we're traveling, this is a good deep pressure feedback, with almost instant gratification for him. Whenever I can't, grab his arms or give him that, feedback by myself. So here's the thing that I want to show a lot of you sensory parents. It's really, really benefited us. So we were just on a flight that took about 13 hours. So my wife designed this face mask, which we're required to wear just about everywhere here in Pennsylvania. So you see the elastic straps. They slip on to a pair of glasses. And what this allows us to do is, my kid never wore sunglasses. I can tell you that right now. But what this allows to happen is these could slip on and stay on there tight and drape over his face. And then there's a little, elastic here in the back. So it's not pulling on his face or his ears. That's been successful in having them wear. They wore it on a 13-hour flight through 3 connections going to Utah a couple weeks ago. She designed this and did 5 of them for each child so that they have a clean one every day to deal with. All you do is pop the lenses out of any pair of cheap, dollar store sunglasses, and they can see right through it. But it's a lot more comfortable than having to deal with that string pulling on the back of your ears. Another thing we did, because they're ridiculously expensive online, is my wife was able to make, a giant weighted blanket. And I believe it's geared to go, I think it's like 10% of the body weight. She's the one that handles that. But she was able to make that. Obviously, carrying around a heavy weighted blanket through an airport and security and everything like that, they are going to check it out. So what we did was we had her make weighted lap pads. So we have a couple of these, and he could just sit that on his lap on the plane or in the car. It's been a real godsend to help out with the travel and everything like that. The other thing I spoke about on a prior video I wanted to show you guys is these are the socks. And they're expensive. They're Puma socks. They're kind of a pain in the butt to find, but we were able to find them at Ross and TJ Maxx. Now, what they have is the seams, believe it or not, don't really bother him. They are seamed, which initially was a trigger for him. But I think the distraction comes because of the elastic around the arch support here. And then you have a tight elastic at the top here too. So that deep pressure feedback on these two spots, I don't go through 16 pairs of socks every morning to get him figured out. I bought like 30 pairs of these things, all different colors and everything, and this seems to be the better way to go with that. It just distracts him enough. We go with a spandex-like type underwear, and we make them as tight as we can on him. That keeps the deep pressure feedback down there. There's no sliding around, there's no riding up. Available at just about any store that you can find, Target, Walmart. And then the last thing I wanted to show you guys is we did the brushing for a while. So when we would brush, we would go in one direction and we would go with light pressure. And as the time went on, we would go with a little bit harder pressure. The bristles are really rubbery and soft. I couldn't find our brush because we haven't used it in a long time. It worked pretty well for about a month. And then he got sick of doing it like 3 times a week. So, or 3 times a day, excuse me. So he grew out of that, and you'll see a lot of these solutions that your kid is gonna, hey, these are great and they're really working, but guess what? They freaking evaporate like water on a hot day. What works today might not work tomorrow. One thing we did find that completely solved his issues on long sleeve shirts or jackets in the wintertime, rubbing on this part of the wrist, or long pants that would rub right here. We could never understand why he would say that these pants don't feel right. These something's wrong. And he would constantly want to wear shorts. And it's freezing here in Pennsylvania sometimes. So as he's wearing the shorts, like, dude, you're going to get sick and you got to wear pants. So we had to buy all kind of sweatpants and that. What we didn't realize was it was the rubbing on the top part of his foot and his ankle area that was the actual affliction, and the trigger for him. Once we figured that out, I got this TENS unit because I have some back issues from my lifting days. So what we do is we put these little pads on his ankles, or we put them on his wrist, and we put them on the lowest possible setting for the electronic, impulses to hit him. And just doing that 15, 20 minutes a day on the areas that are the highest trigger points for him have resolved that issue. He now wears jackets every day. He wears long pants almost every day that it's chilly out. And it's been a real help. I know it sounds crazy to, put shock therapy into effect, but it's a light, very light pulse on the lowest settings to where I can't even feel it. I put it up pretty high for my injuries. I got a disc that bothers me and that. So I got to use, the juice. He's not really using that. But it's enough to take off the pressure, and the bothersome of stuff rubbing on there. Again, I want to thank you all for listening and subscribing. I hope that these tips are helping out. I'm not saying to run out and grab these products. It's a day-by-day process that you need to just figure out. Not everything's going to work for your child. It dang sure hasn't worked for him for the long term. But every little piece that we do, every little ability we have to take away one less trigger has really, affected him in a positive light. And we're getting better every day. We are. Thank you.